I'm Mallory Safaste, and at WMAR2 News, we have a segment called Matter for Mallory, where we work to get you answers to consumer issues, business complaints, bring awareness to scams, and find answers to your consumer-related questions. I know how frustrating it can be to not have a company respond to you, or you may not even know where to start or who to call when you have an issue. I'm here to tell you, you can reach out to me. And I want to share with you a little of what we've done in the last 18 months. But first, I want to show you how Matter for Mallory got started. It began with several complaints about a moving company, not delivering on time, not answering calls or emails, and on moving day, charging thousands more than the binding estimate. We looked into that company and several others and discovered they were all connected. And we got an ex-employee of the operation to tell us all about the scheme and how it worked. It quickly became a chorus of customers begging for their belongings.
Just give us our stuff, so we can get our life back.
They won't give us an address of where our things are being held.
The letters from my dead father, every single thing we own is in that load.
These are a few of the more than 1,000 people scammed by the same group of movers. For almost a year, we tracked them as they changed the name of their businesses, websites, even names of their salespeople, this former employee revealed.
My name was Tatiana in Unified. I was Brenda under Flagship, and I was Jasmine under Presidential. I was Sabrina for Public.
Despite accumulating complaints and having their licenses revoked, the schemers carried on by simply filing for new moving licenses with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, then fabricating reviews and reeling in customers with low rates.
So what was the original estimate again?
$2,700.
And how high up has it gotten?
$69.99.
Finally, in July of last year, the U.S. Attorney's Office in the Southern District of Ohio filed federal charges. Their investigation revealing that the companies operated under a dozen names in 10 states for around 5 years.
They preyed on honest, innocent, and vulnerable people during an extraordinarily stressful event.
While the system eventually worked, this is an example of how slow it moves. At the same time of the investigation, many people were being harmed financially, emotionally, and to this day, some have still not been able to track down their things. We spent almost a year investigating that story and bringing you updates, but there are other stories where answers are quicker and easier to come by, like Eric in Westport, who contacted me about the mountain of trash in his backyard. It'd been there for nearly 10 months. He reported it to the city multiple times, and inspectors even left stickers every time they visited, but never removed the trash. Well, here's what happened when we called the Department of Public Works. Eric Morse's favorite thing about living in Westport is this view.
That is beautiful. That is really a wonderful skyline.
But when he walks around his home, he's disgusted.
Mattresses, box springs, sofas, cribs, recliners, garbage bags, tires. Oh, great. I did not see that. Okay.
What is that?
I think it's urine.
Oh.
That's wonderful.
This dump of a backyard has been like this for months.
I want to say maybe June, July of 2018.
That's when he called 311 to report this illegal dumping. Online records back that up. Cases were opened when he called in June, October, November, and January, and they were all closed. But Eric says the junk stayed put.
311 is available.
You've got people that care about their neighborhood, but when you have government that is basically blowing us off, it's really sad.
City trash inspectors were here at some point. You can tell by the stickers. So the date says January 3rd, work order requested. So we know they were out here in January.
January, yes.
And now it's been 3 months.
3 months later, and still nothing has taken place.
But wait. There's more.
You think this is bad? Wait until you see over there.
Like someone dumped a garage sale in the corner of this vacant lot.
Oh my, that is a Christmas tree.
Investigators were also here. Baltimore Housing Code Enforcement creates a work order. The Department of Public Works is then supposed to clean it up. Do you have any idea why it took so long for those items to be removed?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm really not clear on where the breakdown was in communications, but once we did learn of it, we were able to act on it pretty quickly and get rid of it.
Hours after I called, DPW hauled it all away.
I mean, I'm very happy. I really am.
No more sofas, mattresses, or garbage bags. They even boarded up a shed where Eric says he saw people doing drugs.
That's a tremendous improvement.
And he estimates the cleanup took just 3 hours.
I offer my apologies, and our resources are flat, and yet we're asked to do more and more.
The city can write tickets. They have 15 trash inspectors and investigators, plus 74 cameras to catch illegal dumpers. But last year, out of tens of thousands of complaints, only 2.5% resulted in fines.
We could double, triple, quadruple the citations, and I'm just not sure that we can find our way out of this problem.
Their number one defense right now is people doing the right thing. And more people, like Eric, who take pride in where they live and how it looks.
I'm just happy. It's not an eyesore anymore. If I decide to have a cookout, I can do so now and not try to figure out how I can camouflage all of that over here. So I'm pretty excited.
I also make people aware of news that could impact your health or loved ones, even your pets. Recently, the FDA started investigating the role grain-free diets play in dogs diagnosed with heart disease. We spoke with a pet owner whose dog was recently diagnosed and what she wished she knew a year ago. 4 months ago, Nyla's heart wasn't working so well.
She still has, pretty significantly enlarged heart. Her muscle function's abnormal.
Fast forward to now, Nyla isn't cured, but her owner feels she's on the right track.
They are unsure if it will ever reverse, but she definitely has had some improvement, and so we're hopeful for that.
She's been taking medicine, 5 pills 3 times a day, although Allison thinks the change has to do with her diet.
I believe it's the food.
Since 2014, the FDA has been investigating a possible link between grain-free dog foods and dilated cardiomyopathy, or DCM, a heart muscle disease that can lead to heart failure in pets. The number of cases have jumped from one report in 2014 to 320 last year, and around 200 just this year, January through April. In the last year, the health agency has issued 3 public alerts, the latest detailing the food brands dogs with DCM8.
How many do I recognize?
That you gave Nyla.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I thought that I was feeding really good food. It was not cheap food.
To Dr. Stephen Rosenthal, a board-certified veterinary cardiologist, the cause and cure aren't as clear.
Is it just diet? Is there environment? Is there some potential genetic factors that might be predisposing them to these dietary mediated disorders?
Those factors aside, he does suspect it could be the ingredient that replaces grain in grain-free foods that's leading to an uptick in cases.
Our concern is that a high percentage of the reported cases have both lentils and chickpeas, or at least one of those two, in the diet. So we wonder if that may be related to why we're seeing this.
Theories, but no clear answers.
It's hard to be patient. It does take a while to get some of these things figured out.
Meanwhile, Allison is among the growing community of concerned dog owners, trying to understand what to feed their pets and working to warn others. DCM isn't always obvious. Just look at Nyla.
I personally let her play and jump. It's just, I want her to have a quality of life. So if she wants to play and jump, that's what she's going to do. And if, something happens, it's going to happen. So it's all in God's hands. That's how I feel.
Home ownership is another topic that if you haven't bought or built a house before, you may not be familiar with the process and what can happen if you trust the wrong people. In the last year, we've reported on 2 Maryland builders who went out of business, leaving new homeowners facing liens on their property from unpaid subcontractors and unfinished homes after investing their life's savings into their dream home.
We've lost about, I don't want to put an exact figure, but it's multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars.
A house shouldn't be a gamble. There's a contract, references, licenses, and lenders. Xander Homes leaped over those hurdles with their beautifully displayed homes and stellar reputation.
He grew really, really fast. He had a good reputation in the area.
By the time Alex Trackman got to Caitlin Hicks's home, the facade was still in place, Behind the scenes, the company began to crumble.
Things were getting very expensive. He kept giving us upcharges and whatnot, which were beyond our original fixed contract. And we knew there was a problem in about October of last year.
In January, Trackman closed his doors. In a letter to the Maryland office of the Attorney General, he wrote, "I borrowed where I could just to keep things going." That eventually led to the inability to pay the debt. Unfortunately, I was not able to convince any investor or partner to join us, and I was tapped out. Vendors, subcontractors weren't paid, and homeowners like Hicks were left with the fallout.
Windows are in. It's one of our biggest liens. So we have about 6 liens against us, equaling about $200,000 for things that have been paid out of the bank, but were never paid from Xander to the subcontractors.
Hicks, who should have been moving in this month, had to find a new builder, pushing back the move-in date to December.
We're pregnant, we're due in September. We thought we were going to be in our new house for our new baby and our new family, and now we're going to be living in our little condo with the baby and then trying to move, and it's just, the whole thing is just a mess.
Her family is among at least 8 others in a similar situation, and it wasn't for lack of research.
It's not a matter of not knowing better, it's a matter of sort of falling prey to a really good salesman who developed a really good product at the beginning and then sort of falling victim to his too quick growth.
It's something the suitors can relate to.
After interviewing many contractors, we decided to go with Corey Homes.
They hired Corey Smith of Corey Homes to build their Harford County house in 2016. He took longer than expected, then hit them with an unexpected bill.
He slid across the table a invoice for an additional $84,000 worth of work that was bid on and completed under the terms of our agreement. I told him that it was bogus. He fought me on it.
Then he filed a lien against the suitor's property.
It was devastating. This was supposed to be the house of our dreams, and it just has turned into a very stressful situation.
Smith went out of business, sold his home, and moved out of state, leaving other families with homes still in the framing process, and again battling liens from unpaid subcontractors.
So this was just one of the many things that we've had to put off.
The suitors may be considered the lucky ones. After having a lien on their home for over a year, they finally went to arbitration in January, where a judge awarded them $500,000 to cover defects, legal fees, and other court costs. Despite the ruling, they haven't seen a penny from Corey Homes.
Whether we'll ever obtain the award that we received through the arbitration process, I don't know.
They're hoping to get something from the Maryland Home Builder Guarantee Fund, a safety blanket of sorts that offers minimal protections, up to $50,000 per consumer, $300,000 max per builder, a mere dent in what victims of Corey and Xander homes would need to dig themselves out of this financial hole.
There is a problem between contractors, subcontractors, and homeowners that does exist. And I believe we have to get to the bottom of it so that we protect all 3 entities.
Delegate Teresa Riley put forth a bill this past session that would have suspended a contractor's license if they fail to pay subcontractors.
The customer's paying for the job, the employer's getting paid, but then he's not paying his employees. In any other situation, that doesn't happen.
The bill was defeated because of the impact it could have on other projects. She's since discovered the situation is more complex, but she's committed to finding an answer.
What the answer is yet, I do not know, but I certainly hope, from today's date until we get back in session next year, that we can come up with some kind of solution.
That could maybe help future families, but for the Hicks...
I'm surprised we're still married. It's very stressful.
And the suitors...
I've been dealing with Corey alone for 3 years now.
They've run out of options.
It's not finished, it's not settled, we're not relaxed.
This is our dream home, and unfortunately it's become a bit of a nightmare.
Finally, your shopping habits could impact your health. I was contacted by a woman who bought her probiotics off Amazon, only to find out months later that they may be counterfeit. We went right to Amazon for answers and the manufacturer of the product.
We recently learned the product you received from a third-party seller is likely not a genuine Align product. We're sorry for any disappointment or inconvenience this may have caused.
An eye-opening email Michelle Marshall received at 3 in the morning from Amazon. The probiotics she'd been taking may not be what's on the label.
I got the medication at the end of April, and they're sending me this July 3rd, and it had 64 pills. So do the math. I'd taken a lot of pills by that point.
She called Amazon demanding more information.
And he's like, oh, I understand your concern, but, and you know, we returned your money. And I was like, but $37.99 does not make me whole at this point. I need to figure out what is in my body. And he, oh, I understand, and you should go see your doctor, was what I was told.
Her doctor gave her a blood test and the results thankfully came back normal. Even so, Michelle wants to know what she put in her body.
And they have offered no assistance whatsoever in whatever research they're doing. How did they find out that it wasn't a real product? They should have let people know that.
They didn't tell you that?
No, they didn't tell us how they found out. They have not offered to do any examinations on the pills themselves to find out what I took.
Amazon wouldn't tell us either. We asked all of Michelle's questions, including how many people were notified and what else did the seller offer. They sent back 2 statements, one on their efforts to combat counterfeit products, the other on customer safety being a top priority. And they added the seller had been banned from their marketplace. But when we pressed them to answer our specific questions, a spokesperson said they had nothing else to share at this time. Parent company of Align, P&G, were a little more forthcoming. They said they're conducting an analysis of the counterfeit Align.
I trusted, really naively, Amazon, that whatever products that they would sell me, that there was some sort of quality assurance that was put behind it, that you wouldn't distribute medications that people were going to ingest and not know where they came from or what was in them.
Michelle had a doctor's appointment even before the email because of certain symptoms. Looking back, she says those symptoms began 2 weeks after taking the pills and went away after she stopped using them.
I'm a mom, I'm a wife, and I care about my health. And I don't want to be the only one that cares about my health. I think Amazon should care too.
Matter for Mallory is another resource for you. If I can't help, I may know someone who can. We're working for you at WMAR 2 News. You can see a new report every Tuesday morning on Good Morning Maryland. Find me on social media or email me at mallory@wmar.com and let me know what's going on. Because if it matters to you, it's a matter for me.